Have you ever wanted to have realistic monsters in your game, but didn't really know how to do it? Well, today I'm going to be talking to you about the REDS method, a method I wrote about in D12 Monthly. If you haven't checked out this zine yet, it's pretty awesome, and particularly February 2025's issue, because, well, I wrote an article in it, and that's pretty cool. So, Russ does an excellent job with D12 Monthly, covering a ton of different topics. He focuses on each one every month, and then gives you a bunch of different articles with actionable, usable stuff for your table, especially if you're playing fantasy or OSR style games. It's really great. Okay, so you're really here because you want to know how to make awesome monsters. And to do that, all we have to do is check out some biology. Right, so REDS is an acronym. It stands for Reproduction, Energy, Defense and Evasion, and Space and Time. All right, let's talk about reproduction. So every single monster has to be made somehow. There's got to be something that creates it, something that causes it to be put into existence. Usually that's another monster, right? Like its parents make it. For constructs, something's going to actually build them and put them together. For ghosts, they're going to form when something dies, right? I think. Well, anyway, you want to be thinking about your monsters and how they get produced. Particularly for monsters that are created by like curses, like weresharks and werewolves and stuff like that. Knowing how the monster reproduces can actually help you build an interesting narrative and change the way that the game is played. It can change how your characters in the story combat the problem. So by giving a moment to really build out how the monster that you're playing or the monster that you're making, if you're going to make one up, actually makes more of itself, reproduces, it can really build on your game. So the E part of RED stands for energy, and that's where monsters are going to be getting their energy from somewhere. Now, you don't have to have like biological monsters getting their energy, but they obviously need to eat. Even plants need to get energy. They get it from the sun. Animals are going to be eating things, which makes it easy. If you have an animal, they're going to be trying to eat the adventurers. They're going to try to fight them. Or if you've got maybe some kind of like ghost or aether being, then they could be maybe pulling energy from magic itself. Or if there's some kind of machinations, maybe they're getting their energy from energy crystals or power cells, but they have something that's got to be driving that energy. And that doesn't mean the player knows that or is even aware of it, but you need to have some sort of energy source. Because maybe the players could be using this to their advantage. Maybe they could figure out, oh, this construct needs energy crystals, so I don't have to defeat the monster. All I have to do is pull out the energy crystals from the back of the construct and I'm done. Or if they know, hey, this monster is here, if we trap it and we don't feed it over time, eventually it'll run out of food and die. Or it'll get super hungry and be angry, so maybe we could throw it a bone and it won't bother us. Many predators have different tactics for how they hunt and obtain energy. Some lie in wait like the crocodile, and when a prey walks close enough, they snap and get a meal. Others go and chase them down like the cheetah or the lion. Still others prowl and wait and creep up on their prey and then pounce on it like a tiger or a panther. Knowing how the animal or the creature or the monster gets the energy will help you build a better, more interactive game. Next, we want to think about how monsters defend themselves. Every single organism is struggling to survive, right? They're trying to make it to the next day. And how they do that can vary widely. Many predators go out and kill and eat, but even prey have ways of avoiding death. They could maybe run away or taste disgusting or only come out at night. Like they have different methods to avoid being eaten. And all of these methods they will employ against the players when the players start attacking them. So thinking about how a monster is going to defend itself and make sure that it can survive to the next day can be super important for your game. There's many different methods that you might think about how a prey and a predator might interact. But in particular, you want to think about your monsters and how your monsters are going to attack the party. Are they going to lay a trap like a spider or kobolds tend to do? Are they going to rush in and try to bash like a rhinoceros? Are they going to cautiously view them and sneak around? Are they going to bite them with venom and wait for their struggling to stop and then finally consume them? Thinking about how the animal, how the organism is going to fight will help you. And this is even true if your monster isn't actually an animal, but is like a construct. Were they built to guard a specific area? Are they only going to stay in that area and guard it and not go anywhere else? Are they ethereal beings that are just trying to inhabit a host for a while, like a ghost? And they are going to find somebody who is of a weak mental state and take them over? Are they going to do some other kind of magical interaction? Are they going to be like a will-o-wisp and trick the character into going off to a bad area, falling prey into a bog, or going into a cave that they shouldn't go to and get lost? Are they going to stalk them like the Minotaur in the labyrinth? What is your monster going to be doing to attack and defend themselves, right? Attack the party, defend against threats, or maybe find the next meal. The S in Reds stands for space and time. Essentially, monsters must exist somewhere. Even if they're on different planes or travel through the planes, or if they're only found in a specific location or only held in captivity, knowing where their native place to be, where their indigenous region is, where they're from, can be helpful to you. Because maybe you want all of the monsters in the region to be from the area, or maybe you want some monsters to show up from somewhere else. And that could add to your game. Why is this monster here? It's not supposed to be here. It should be over in the Arctic, but we've got a polar bear in the desert. Who brought this polar bear here? Why? What's going on? Right? It could add an element to your game. Or in a more magical sense, we know that this fey creature is only in the Feywild, but now it's here in the mundane world. Who brought it here? How did it get here? Is there a tear in the plains? Could we maybe travel to the Feywild from here? That could be cool. Knowing their space and time allows to make more interesting monsters. If you were watching the sword port that I did, then you'll know that weresharks only show up during the full moon because they're weresharks, like werewolves. And so if you see a wereshark and it's not the full moon, then something really weird is going on. If you didn't know, I wrote a bestiary with all kinds of fun monsters in it. And each of the monsters in the bestiary has a little breakdown. They've got lore for you so that you kind of know something about the animal, something about the monster. And this would be setting specific things that the players would hear about. Then there's like their anatomy and physiology description, which helps you run the monsters. Then there's their behavior and psychology, like how does the monster think? What did they do? And lastly, there are tips for running these monsters, because the stat block itself will have specific things that are useful to you in your game. For instance, in Along the Ley Line, all of the monsters have different critical hits, and this could really change how the game actually plays out. So if you want, I will post a link to a outline for the stat blocks of these monsters, and also a link to a little worksheet for Reds to make your life a little bit easier. Basically just an outline to keep track of everything. Well, that's it for the Reds method. If you want a reference, go check out the article I wrote for D12 Monthly, February 2025. Or you could check a link below and I will give you a little quick just like list. It's not going to describe each one, but it's going to be a checklist that you can refer to when you are making your monsters. I will also post in the link a blank stat block for monsters for Along the Ley Line. It will have lore, anatomy and physiology, behavior and psychology, and advice for running, so that you can fill out your own monsters for Along the Ley Line. In my next video, I'll be talking about tips of how to make monsters specifically for Along the Ley Line, but I think it will be useful information for any kind of game that you are running. Giving your monsters a little bit more thought will make them a lot better at your table. The Reds method isn't the only thing in D12 Monthly. There's a lot of other great stuff in here, like the unnatural, corrupted flora and fauna. There's mixing it up, combining monsters. There is the weird and wonderful weird monster generator. There's creature feature, the hunger below. There's character building monsters. There's all kinds of cool stuff in February's issue of D12 Monthly. And like I said before, all of the stuff that Russ puts out is awesome stuff. You should definitely go check out the zine if you enjoy role-playing games. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope all of your games are full of dread and laughter. You're still watching. You must know about the secret then. The secret grimoire. Well, if you keep watching, there'll be another letter. And I won't say any more about that. If you want to know all the details, watch the end of my other videos that I've been posting recently, the newest ones, and you'll see what I'm talking about.